to order for March 20th, 2018. Roll call, Mr. Beater.
Leyland.
Here.
Little.
Here.
Magsman.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
White.
Here. Have a moment of silence to reflect on our actions of the day. Before we go to the Pledge of Allegiance, I want to remind everybody to have their cell phones off, and the new rule in here is there's no drinks without lids on their cups. So please abide by the rules. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Have the agenda received as proposed or as amended?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comments. Anybody from the public that would like to comment about anything other than what's on the agenda? Please come to the podium, state your name, address.
Rich Kurtenbach, 238 Normandy in Waterloo. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this morning. I'd like to first start off with thanking Frank Mangsman for all his years of service here, not just with the county, but with the city. And we really do appreciate your time and efforts in your public service. Thank you so much. This morning, I just want to take a few moments of your time and pass out a little information. I am actually a union representative with the Electrical Workers Local 288 here in Waterloo, president of the Waterloo Building Trades Council, and we represent both construction, utility, and more importantly today, just let you know a little bit about public sector bargaining. We have a unit just north of town here that is not going well, and we've had a situation where council members were not aware of some of the things that go involved with public sector bargaining. I'd like to take this moment to thank you as this board taking a position a year ago in support of Chapter 20 in the state of Iowa. With that, I feel comfortable in talking to you as friends and helping with a little more education on what's been going on out there, as you will be foreseeing responsibilities hitting you here shortly with opening contracts. This morning, I just want to pass along to you an item that we've been in the labor movement been passing out, quick guide to understanding public sector bargaining under Iowa's new law, and frequently asked questions about public sector bargaining under Iowa's new law. If I want to pass these out to you as I end today, and again, thank you for your support in the past, and please use those that are your friends in labor for any questions you may have in dealing with future negotiations with your public bargaining units. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you.
Thanks, Richie. Anyone else from the public?
Nicer copy.
Moving down to claims and payments, the resolution, the Board of Supervisors approve expenditures for the county.
The county's expenditures this week total $312,065.80, 312,065.80.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this item? This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Leyland.
Yes.
Little.
Yes.
Magsman.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, the resolution approve the expenditures for for Country View Care Facility.
Country View's expenditures this week total $308,784.77, 308,784.77. That includes approximately $285,000 for February benefits.
So move to approve?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Little.
Yes.
Magsman.
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Leyland.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, receive project updates from department heads and elected officials.
Good morning, Board.
Morning. You're going to give two reports?
Just one report. Kathy Nicholas, County Engineer. The gravel road conditions are improving, so happy spring. We are seeing them firm up and dry out. The blades are back on the roads this week, and some of the plows and wings have been taken off the trucks so that they are able to get rock at the quarries now. And they should be out hauling spot rock in the next several weeks, so that should improve the situation of the gravel roads just in time for the spring rains. So can I answer any questions at this time? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other department heads, elected officials? If not, moving on to number 5, minutes approved for March 13th, 2018.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Hearings timed at approximate 9:05, ordinance number 77-201, rezone request by Diane Tegmeyer. That would be later in the agenda. Number 7 is consent agenda by resolution.
So move.
Second?
Moved in second, discussion on any of these items. This is a resolution, please answer, your name is called.
Maxman,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next is contracts and agreements. This is a resolution that the agreement between Blackhawk County and Advanced Environmental for asbestos abatement services located at 5407 Wyden Road, Waterloo, Iowa, for the 2016 flood buyout property in the amount of $1,375 be approved and conditional to the receipt of the certificate of insurance.
So move.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Frank, you got anything on this that you wanted to say?
No, it's a process we're going through to do the property acquisition on the property on Whedon Road that was impacted by the 2016 flood, and we're only able to do one home because of the funding that we were receiving from the state and able to match here at the county level. So lack of funds did not allow us to do additional properties.
Any other questions? This is a resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Maxman,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, number 9, other business, is a resolution that the letter of support for the Cedar Valley Trails Partnership to submit a proposal for a grant to fund the Cedar Valley Nature Trail Wolf Creek Bridge project be approved.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, discussion.
Yes, good morning,
Roger.
members of the board. Roger White, 2303 Greenwood Avenue, Cedar Falls. And I've been before this board before, usually connected with REAP, a couple of times for Hartman Reserve. Today I have my Cedar Trails Partnership hat on. First of all, I want to thank the board for your appropriation, I guess that's the word I would use, towards the Conservation Board for the current fiscal year to pay for the engineering study for the replacement of the Wolf Creek Bridge. That $77,000, I believe it was instrumental in getting the engineering started. That is in process right now. It's hopefully done a little later on in the spring. And that will then get us on a trajectory to start the next steps of the process, which is finalizing the funding. I know right now that the Conservation Board has a grant application in for a $50,000 grant with a national organization connected with the Rails to Trails organization. I believe they also are in process, if they don't already have it in, to get funding through the regional transportation, they call it TAP, Transportation Alternative Program or projects. And I don't know the exact amount of that, but it was going to be multi-$100,000. We don't know the result of that yet. Early on, there was a proposal, as you remember, to relocate the trail, and the grant that was being sought for that was not successful. That was when we came back to you folks and when you agreed to start the process for the engineering to replace the bridge. Now, at the time of that proposal to relocate, there was a family that put up $50,000 pledge toward that project, and when the relocation didn't happen, Vern Fish and the folks from the County Conservation were able to maintain that pledge, but it turned into a challenge for us to raise the funds to match that $50,000. I and others in the Preserve the Cedar Valley Nature Trail group took on that challenge. I'd like to say we're there. We're not quite. Our gross right now is something over $45,000. and that's been raised from trail users and trail supporters in, for the most part, small contributions. There have been a couple of fairly large contributions. We're still on target to get to that 50, and then we'll have 100 between the challenge and what will be put together. Along with that, we've partnered with the Cedar Trails Partnership, of which I'm a member of that board. And the partnership is the local advocacy group for trails here in the Cedar Valley area, and a nonprofit also. And we are seeking grants in addition to the individual fundraising that we've been doing. And that is what is in front of you today. We have a possibility of a grant up to $10,000 through a national bicycle advocacy group called People for Bikes. One of the things that they require, though, in their grant application is a long list of letters of support, including from elected officials. So that's why we come to you and ask you if you would give us that letter. I believe, Frank, you've circulated a draft of what it would say, and that would then allow us to get next week our application in for that grant. Since I made that known to Frank and to you, Craig, we have come across another possibility for a grant. So what I'd like you to do is to do 2 letters, identical, except the second one won't go to People for Bikes. It will go to a local family foundation. It's a private foundation, so at this point I'd rather not identify it publicly, but I have a draft of your draft that if you approve this motion and you can do it within the confines of open meetings, because it is the same project for the Cedar Valley Nature Trail, but we're just talking 2 letters now instead of 1. Then at the end of the meeting, I'd like to obtain those signatures and we'll be on our way. So any questions? I do have for you, each of you, the brochure that our committee is using for the fundraising that we've used to get to where we are right now with the approximately 45,000 gross. We have some fundraising expenses against that. Our net is around 43. So we still got a ways to go, but we're over the hump, I think. So any questions?
Roger, I think your request, the second part's gonna be put on the agenda next week. You just can't throw things on.
Well, it's the same letter.
It's the same project, but it's 2 different organizations that you're applying to, is that correct?
It would be, with this second one was added, yes. I mean, the organization's not identified in the agenda, just merely the letter.
Yeah, I know it. I'm just going by what's on here now. Is both letters gonna go to,
Pete, would we need to bring that back
I
next
think
week?
so.
yeah, I do too.
I think you should do that. That would be the proper thing to do, to bring it back before you.
And that would be the 27th, so we're still under the wire. Okay,
Okay,
I can live with that.
thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Roger.
And you'll leave us the name?
Yes, yes.
Just give the information to Dana.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good work.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roger.
A motion and a second on the floor for this resolution. Any further discussion?
I just want to thank Roger and all the members that are helping to raise funds for this project. Thank you.
This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
Eichmann,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. Next, the motion to direct the county auditor to advertise for a public hearing to be held at 9:05, April 3rd, boardroom 201, Blackhawk County Courthouse, on the proposed Raymond Road Storm Sewer and Drainage Improvements HMA paving project.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Kathy?
This motion will allow us to send out the plans, and I'll also be speaking about this project in the work session.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. It is now 9:15. It is a hearing on a proposed ordinance number 787-201, Tegmeyer rezone. Have a motion to receive and place on file proof of
Second.
publication. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Motion to waive the first reading and its notice was published on March 9th and the water declared in accordance with
So moved.
requirements.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This motion to close the hearing after oral or written comments are received. Any written comments?
No, sir.
You're on, young man.
Okay. Okay, the Planning and Zoning Commission at its regular meeting on February 20th, 2018, reviewed the request by Diane Tietmeyer to rezone 6.63 acres from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential District in order to build 3 new single-family homes. One of the building sites is currently zoned Agricultural Residential District, but requires to have an additional 0.01 acres to be rezoned to RS Residential Suburban District, and at AR Agricultural Residential District, and 0.02 acres rezoned from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential District to meet the 1.5 minimum acre requirement for a buildable lot for one single-family home. The property is located at 6311 Waverly Road. It was moved by SAC and seconded by Stage to approve the rezone request to rezone 6.65 acres from A to AR and 0.01 acres from RS to AR to allow for the building of 4 new single-family homes. Motion to approve carried unanimously. The property has been zoned RS Residential District and A Agricultural District since the adoption of the zoning ordinance in 1982. Surrounding land uses are A Agricultural District and Residential Suburban District with rural homes and vacant land to the north, AR Agricultural District with rural homes and vacant land to the south, AR Agricultural Residential Districts with rural homes to the east, and Agricultural District with vacant land to the west. The Blackhawk County Future Land Use Map, adopted as a component of the Blackhawk County Comprehensive Land Use Plan, designates this property as residential. Land to the northeast and south are designated as residential. Land to the west is designated as agricultural. The property in question is not located in a special flood hazard area as designated by FEMA. The lease score for the property was 161, which has low agricultural value, and the LE component of the lease score is 58 out of 100. The applicant wishes to rezone the 6.63 acres from A to AR in order to build 3 new single-family homes. Each lot will be 2.21 acres in size. The 3 sites meet the lot and size requirements for the AR Agricultural District by being greater than 1.5 acres and wider than 150 feet. The majority of the land to be rezoned has not been in active row crop production for the last 7 years due to the poor quality of schools, but it has been utilized for hay to keep the weeds down. The lot located south of 6311 Waverly Road contains 1.47 acres and is zoned AR, Agricultural Residential District, but requires to have an additional 0.02 acres to be rezoned from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential District, and 0.01 acres to be rezoned from RS Residential Suburban District to AR Agricultural Residential District in order to meet the 1.5 acre minimum requirement for a buildable lot for one new single-family home. For the Tech Committee, Ryan Brennan with the Blackhawk County Engineering Department indicated that he would like to see better planned subdivisions in the county. However, Heiberger noted that most persons apply for the 3-lot minor plats to avoid having to bring in public water and sewer service to the site. Brennan also suggested that the 3 proposed rezone areas to the north should have a shared 30-foot access road on the northern side of the existing parcel and a 30-foot ingress-egress easement and utility easement is noted on the northern side of the existing parcel in the site plan submitted by the applicant. Brendan also recommended having the southern parcel that is having 0.01 acres rezoned from RS to AR Agricultural Residential District and 0.02 acres rezoned from A Agricultural District to AR Agricultural Residential to get to the 1.5 acres. Should use an existing driveway on the southern end of the parcel to gain access to the lot. With the Blackhawk County Health Department also indicated that septic systems and water wells can still be placed on the rezone area despite the sandy soils. That concludes the staff report.
So where's the driveway gonna be for that?
There'll be essentially there'll be kind of like a driveway that goes on the northern edge of the parcels, and then so that'll go right here for the northern, and then the southern for this lot will go right here is where the road will be.
Oh, there's not a house down there?
Yeah, this is the one where they were at 1.47, so they were just a little short.
Oh, okay.
So the applicant owned the land as well and just decided to, get it up to the 1.5 minimum acre requirement. And there's kind of already you can kind of see that there's already a road there established to the south. And then then the egress will go to the north. So it'll be just like one shared driveway.
What's their address gonna be? How are they gonna have addresses, because they're all straight back from one another?
We'll be able to address it
We'll say,
for the county.
Seems like it'd be a problem for fire and rescue myself. Any further questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
The road you're talking about,
Come up to the microphone, please.
oh, I'm sorry. The second road you're talking about here, is this a private lane? Are you talking about this road right here?
Yeah, I mean, they'd have to get an easement to access it, but I don't, that was the suggestion that was made, as opposed to going off of Waverly Road.
I just want to say for the record, I am opposed.
Do you live in the area?
Yes, I live right here.
Which, we can't see it when you're pointing up that one, sir. What?
I'm sorry. I live right here.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
What's your name and
I've been there
address?
for 30 years. Mark Shields,
What's the address?
6121 Walls Court.
And the reason you're opposed?
We have a lot of traffic out there as it is. I just think adding more houses. We have a lot of wildlife out there too, and I think you're gonna be pushing the wildlife away. We have enough traffic, we have enough noise. And I've been there for 30 years, I've seen a few houses added, and believe it or not, it is a lot noisier out there than it used to be. I guess that's why I moved to the country, is for peace and quiet and solitude and that sort of thing.
Commissioners had no trouble with this, Seth?
No, because the entire area is residential on the future land use map, and there's plenty of let's see, I think I can.
Well, and I think the Lisa score and the Ellie score, they were both very low.
Yeah, they're very low.
Couldn't be ag use.
Because as you can see, there's already a lot of AR residential up and down along Waverly Road. And in addition, the property is designated as residential on the future land use map. And there's very few areas in the county that are designated as residential. So,
My problem with it is with the recent fires that we've had out in the rural areas and no water supplies, that concerns me. Especially if there's, families living in them. Any other questions for Seth? Do I have a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion is, do I have a second?
Second.
Close hearing. Motion is second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This resolution to suspend the rules requiring the Board of Supervisors consider the vote on the proposed ordinance at 2 prior meetings.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? This resolution, please answer as your name is called.
Little,
Yes.
Magsman,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted. This is an ordinance adoption. That ordinance amending ordinance number 36 is amended to Blackhawk County, Iowa Agricultural Preservation Zoning Ordinance adopted February 2nd, 1999 by adding subsection number 201 to the section 6B, rezoning certain property as prescribed in the above request submitted by Diane Tegmeyer, and to consider the same for adoption if adopted would be known as ordinance number 77-201.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? This resolution, please answer your name is called.
Magsman,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White.
No. Resolution adopted. Moving on to work session. This discussion, possible board action, Thomas Reuters Tax Administration Software Contract Update. I'll give you a couple minutes.
Kim Peter, IT Director, and actually I'm representing the Assessor's Office, the Auditor's Office, and the Treasurer's Office are part of the conversation that we've had. As you know, we have had a contract with Thomson Reuters for our tax administration application for several years. And after several delays, we found they were going to have another delay, and I think that we've decided that we can't delay any further, and we would like to get out of the contract. And we would also have prepared some information about money for compensation for the time and disruption for ourselves for Blackhawk County. And so we've met with Pete Burke. I came up with a list of the programs and files that we had gotten to the point of preparing for the migration to the new system. We had processed the entire county as part of our preliminary data migration. And at the point where I thought we were about to go to the next level or the next phase of the project, they said that the company had decided to take resources away from our project, work on the upgrade to the application. And so they said, you know, this many months we'll let you know, this many months we'll let you know. Well, just recently we found out that they were putting us off until this November. So what we're asking from you guys is for us to go ahead with ending our contract, seeing if we can make any progress with getting some of the compensation, the amounts that we've talked about. But we don't want to wait. You know, if it's obvious that they're not going to work with us, we would just like to go ahead and go on with the project and resubmit our RFP for another company and move forward. So,
So what action are you looking for today?
well, Pete, I guess.
Well, you're looking for authority to terminate the contract.
That's it, today?
Yep, that's it today.
And to ask for the compensation?
Now, for the damages that you've sustained.
How long has this been going on?
Well, like I said, when we first signed the contract, they told us they couldn't start on our project till the following May. We had a bad project manager. That was a delay. When we got the new project manager, things were moving along. And like I said, probably this time of year last year is when they told us that they were going to take resources away. So it's 4 years.
Motion to proceed.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Any further questions? This is a resolution. Please answer as your name is called.
Magsman,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes,
White.
Yes, resolution adopted.
thank you.
Thank you. Next is a discussion on the engineer's 5-year plan presented by Kathy.
Before we move on, Kim, can you tell me, give approximate, if we send out a new RFP, what the timeline would be to get another company in here and working on this?
So date-wise, what I would say is, I brought up the old RFP that we used originally, and that's been updated. There's some items in the matrix that we may need to adjust. So I guess it's the timing of what it needs to be published and that kind of thing. And I can't say right off the top of my head how.
I guess I'm looking for an approximate. Is it
Okay.
another year or 2 years?
No. We will reach out to them immediately or as soon as possible. And I don't know if you think a couple of weeks would be able to know what they thought, or?
If I may interject here, the group has discussed this matter, and what I'd recommend that you go ahead and try to terminate this contract first before you deal with sending out the RFP. That may cause a conflict with with the discussion concerning the termination of the contract. We're prepared to move rather quickly on this with the RFP, but first we want to deal with this contract issue. We want to get that discussed and then make a report back to you so that you can make a decision on this matter. We are going to move as quickly as we can on this.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board.
Morning.
As you know, every year on an annual basis, we are required to submit a 5-year plan to the Iowa Department of Transportation, a 5-year construction plan along with our budget, and that is due April 15th of every year. We usually spend, right after the budgets, we've worked on the budget a lot of December, November, December, January, then we immediately start working on our 5-year plan in the office. And I'd like to present that to you and let you know what's coming. Our philosophy is, of course, that we want to take care of the roads that are already paved. We need to use best management practices to take care of what is already paved. And, of course, that doesn't mean we will never do any other improvements, but we like to use quote-in-place recycle on many of our resurfacing projects. We think that's a very effective way to mitigate future cracking. And then new technologies such as the interlayer that I've told you about. We tried that, a new technology last year. So that really means that we need to be replacing 7 to 10 miles, resurfacing that many miles of pavement every year to keep up with our large network. And then our bridges, we need to be replacing 3 to 5 on an annual basis. So I've given you a handout that goes through the next 5 years. We don't have to go through every single project. There are very small numbers, slide numbers on that sheet, so they read across and then down. But these are the coming year's projects, construction projects. They're not in our 5-year plan because the 5-year plan really starts in 2019. I've told you about our upcoming projects this year, but I just thought I'd refresh your memory. We will be resurfacing Waverly Road, just north of Cedar Falls up to Janesville, and then also resurfacing Elk Run Road from Donald Street to Dunkerton Road. And then down in the Hudson area, we'll be resurfacing Zanetto Road. And then finally, Raymond Road through Dewar, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then we have a large bridge rehabilitation project on the Cedar River, just north of Finchford, as well as a small county bridge on Gresham Road. So that is what we'll be accomplishing this upcoming construction season, as well as a few other miscellaneous large culverts to get ready for next year's resurfacing of Cedar Wapsie Road. So looking ahead to 2019, this is the first year of the 5-year plan. We'll be resurfacing Marquee Road, so that's again in the north portion of the county. I've thrown in the cost for you. If you have any questions, just let me know. We'll also be resurfacing Cedar Wapsie from US 218, so that's at the new interchange, all the way over to Highway 63. That road has seen a significant increase in traffic due to the interchange opening. So we'll spend close to $1.6 million resurfacing that. And then we're also looking at a rehabilitation of the concrete at the Raymond Road overpass on Highway 20. That concrete is in very poor condition. These are the bridge projects. The very large Cedar Wapsie River Bridge. The replacement of that should be let in December. So a year from now, it should be under contract with construction ongoing. And then 2 small bridge projects next year as well. Moving on to 2020, we have an Elk Road Run resurfacing project, Spring Creek and Indian Creek. Those 2 roads are in the northeast portion of the county. That's some very old pavement. It doesn't get a lot of traffic, but it is hot mix asphalt, so we need to resurface that. Schrock Road from Dysart Road to Highway 218 is also time for resurfacing. And then in 2020, we'd like to resurface Pioneer Road. So that's one of our rural subdivisions. It's in the Turkey Foot Heights area. We feel that, I believe that if we can invest some money in putting hot mix asphalt in some of our rural subdivisions, we can save on seal coating or chip sealing in those areas in the future and do a little bit of a drainage improvement as well while we're up there. These would be the bridge projects in 2020. 2 small bridge crew projects on Bennington Road and Big Woods Road, and then a contract bridge on King Road, which is in the LaPorte City, just east of LaPorte City area, north of Main Street. Moving on to the next year's projects. Dunkerton Road from Highway 63 to Elk Run, that's another large resurfacing project. It's about 4 miles resurfacing that. I believe Colden Place Recycling on that section as well. And then we'll be doing a resurfacing on Canfield Road. And then that third project is on Brandon Road in the very southeast portion of the county. We have a portion of concrete that is, I believe, 40 years old, that is in very rough condition. When we resurfaced Brandon Road in 2011, we did not touch this portion of concrete, and now it's time to do something about that. It's in very rough condition. That is a very heavily trafficked road in the county, a lot of agricultural traffic, a lot of commuters down to 380 use Brandon Road. So we'll be removing that concrete pavement and then placing asphalt in that 500 feet. And then this last project is Grundy Road from Highway 20 down to Zanetta, and I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about that. So this was a picture of how Grundy Road looks on a typical spring day. Grundy Road is one of our most heavily trafficked gravel roads in the county. The first mile directly south of Highway 20 gets 340 average cars a day. That's very high. As you go towards Zanetta, the traffic does drop off, but it's still 100 cars a day, 140 cars a day, which is a lot for a gravel road. We are expending quite a bit of money on Grundy Road every year. The past few years, we've had to hire contract rock haulers to place rock on that road. We're placing 500 tons of rock per mile because it is such a wide road, and as soon as we place it, it just gets compacted in there, and oftentimes it doesn't even look as if we placed it. On a normal road, we are replacing about 300 tons of rock per mile. That's our normal re-rocking rate. So we are continuing to expend quite a bit of money just keeping up with the rock needs of Grundy Road. We do share this road with Grundy County, but by maintenance agreement, 28E agreement, we maintain this portion of Grundy Road from Highway 20 down to Zanetta Road. South of there, Grundy County takes over and does that maintenance. But we're spending $30,000 to $40,000 a year just placing rock on that road. We do get a lot of complaints about that road. There's a lot of agricultural traffic. There's been a new hog confinements built, a new feed mill built on that portion of the road. So we are working with Grundy County. I've talked to you in the past about this. We would like to improve that road just due to our high maintenance costs. We are proposing to grade and pave that portion of Grundy Road. Those 5 miles, I've talked to you about possibly bonding for this in the future. If this is to be accomplished, it is likely that we will need bond money for that because we won't have enough farm to market money. Grundy County, they are anticipating that they will have to bond for it as well. And I know Supervisors Frank and Linda, we have gone and spoken with them in the past and just kept each other apprised of how this work is progressing.
I thought they weren't in agreement with it. Supervisor I talked to wasn't in agreement with it.
It seems to be a mixed consensus there, but from what I'm being told, that the majority right now agree with paving it. As long as we're in agreement with paving it, they want it paved.
So if they don't do it, what, we gonna do ours?
We definitely want to grade it. It definitely needs to be improved. The road needs to be narrowed back up again so that it's easier to maintain. We need to install sub-drains and just provide a better gravel road. We could look at other surface treatments if it's decided that paving it is not affordable by both us and Grundy County. But we definitely want to improve the subgrade and do a grading project. We're anticipating that would be $4 million for the grading and $4 million for the paving. Again, that would be split with Grundy County. Those are just some very rough costs at this point. That would include everything from right-of-way to the grading itself. So moving on, these are looking at the 2021 bridge projects. There would be a contract bridge. We would do the design, a contractor would build it on Kimball Avenue for $350,000. And then there would be 2 small county bridge crew bridges that year on Hess and Quarry roads. The next year, we of course have more asphalt paving on Eagle Road and Tama Road. If you recall, these 2 roads are parallel to each other, so they would be from Dysart Road going east to Highway 218. We feel that combining these roads in one, having them tied projects, will get good prices. They're very close to each other. Maybe get some competition on that project. And then this year, we are proposing to pave the Grundy Road. And then here's the bridge projects for that year. A bridge crew project, which we're now projecting those would cost $100,000 on Rice Road. And then 2 contract bridges on Gibson Road and Oxley Road. Okay, the final year, our 2023 year, we would be working with the City of Waterloo to resurface Orange Road. So this is a portion near Hawkeye Community College, going east to Highway 218. That road goes in and out of the city along there, so we have the majority of it, and the city has a small portion of it. Our share would be about $520,000. We would look at resurfacing Beaver Valley Road from Union Road all west, all the way to the Butler-Blackhawk County line. And then we would look at resurfacing Washburn Road from Highway 21 to 218 that year. And then again, we would have 1 contract bridge on Eagle Road and 2 smaller bridge crew projects on Mount Vernon Road and Hammond Road. Do you have any questions about the 5-year plan?
On the 2022, you have Grundy Road down there, paving $2 million.
Right, so that would be, I told you that right now we're estimating each portion, the grading portion would be $4 million. And the next year, the paving portion would be $4 million. So our 50-50 split would be half of that. So we put that in $2 million into our 5-year plan. And they did the same.
Okay, so it goes over 2 fiscal years?
Right, yes, it would be constructed one summer, it would sit over the winter, and then we're anticipating paving it later the next summer.
Thank you.
Mhm. So we will get this submitted to the Iowa DOT and move on with our construction for this summer. I also wanted to update you on the East Bennington Road Bridge. And this is a photo of the bridge. As you recall, this is our bridge that we had to reclose late last fall. So this is what the bridge looked like. I'm not sure the date of this, but it was before it was closed, at least a year ago. That structure was originally built in 1895, so it's a very old truss. It's unique to, it's the last one of its kind in Blackhawk County. We've replaced similar type structures many years ago. This just happens to be the last one. It is fairly low ADT. It has been rehabilitated twice since then, and then we also put a new wooden deck on it in 2010. It crosses the Wapsipinicon River, and it's a steel truss, as you saw, with a wooden deck. It is a good-sized bridge, 137 feet, and that center span is 80 feet, and it's 16 feet wide. And as you know, it was posted at 8 tons. So prior to the incident last fall, we had documented settlement over the last few years. On the northwest column in particular, we had asked our surveyor to go out there several times a year. In September of 2017, at the end of September, I did receive a call from a resident that a large truck had crossed over this structure. After that, the resident noticed that there was more settlement to the bridge. We did go out and survey that, and we did confirm that the bridge had settled 0.39 feet more than the last measurement, which I believe was taken 2 or 3 months earlier. We did work with the Blackhawk County Sheriff's Office to investigate this incident. The sheriff's deputy was able to speak to the driver of this vehicle. He did admit to crossing the bridge with his truck that weighed at least 32 tons. He had a large truck, like a F-550, for example, and a trailer. He did state that he did not see the signs. And we have signs right at the bridge, and we also have signs a mile before each side of the bridge. We worked with our bridge consultant, our inspectors. We do not inspect this bridge. It is beyond our, we feel more comfortable letting a structural engineer inspect this. So they did recommend to us, after they inspected it in September, late September, that we close the bridge. They recommended that we keep it closed until we can either repair that northwest pier or until the entire bridge can be replaced. We have been working with Assistant Attorney Pete Burke and Brian Williams to pursue damages in this case, and unless you have any questions, I don't have anything more to say about that, our effort on that. This is a picture of the bridge taken before the truck drove over it, so you can see that there is a little bit of a dip right here. This is what the wooden deck looks like. And then these are 2 photos that were taken by the deputy who went and investigated this incident. You can see that there is a more pronounced dip at that point. Do you have any questions on that at this point? We'll continue to keep you updated on this.
Over the number of vehicles using this road or bridge in the past.
About 45 cars per day. And there are homes just to the east of the bridge. There's, I believe, 4 to 6 homes. I think there's even a business right on that east side of the bridge.
How long is the detour with the bridge closed?
I believe it's an additional 3 or 4 miles of distance travel for the people. They have to travel north about a mile to get to Highway 281 and then back around to the north side of that.
So is your recommendation that he would close until we're possibly ready to replace the whole bridge, or that we would do this repair on the pier?
At this point, Shrek Britzen is recommending that we keep it closed until we do that repair, or we decide to replace the bridge. At this time, I do not have a recommendation about if we want to replace the bridge. I believe we should have a public meeting. You should be involved in making that decision. Right now, we're working with Mr. Burke to seek some recovery of damages, and we'll keep you updated on that effort.
Do you have any projected cost on repair or replacement?
Yes, so Ryan, wasn't the repair $180?
The repair costs were about $180,000. That's just construction costs. We would have engineering and other expenses on top of that. Other than that, the replacement cost, I believe, was 1.1 or 1.2 million.
how many houses are out there again?
I think there's maybe half a dozen on the east side.
One of the reasons for the high replacement cost is, I should have showed you an aerial, but it has quite the roads leading up to the bridge, they're both at right angles or nearly right angles. We would probably straighten the road out and realign the bridge. It would probably be a longer bridge. So it would be a more expensive bridge. It would have to be a higher bridge just due to new regulations and, letting the water go under the bridge, that type of thing. So at this point, it will just be closed indefinitely now. Okay, moving on to the last project I wanted to talk to you about is our Raymond Road resurfacing through Dewar. You just approved the motion for us to have the public hearing in several weeks. We will be able to send out the plans now to interested parties. I wanted to give you just a very brief history of the Dewar areas from the Blackhawk County Engineers viewpoint. This is an area of the Elk Run Creek that has been studied quite a bit by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They have documented that much of Dewar is in the 100-year floodplain. During Dick King's administration, while he was here, there were several public meetings held to talk to the residents of Dewar. I know some of you were at those meetings to talk about possible improvements to Raymond Road in the community of Dewar. There were ideas such as making it a more urban feel, putting in curb and gutter, perhaps parallel parking, filling in the ditches and thereby allowing parallel parking, sidewalks, and the price tag of that was well over $2 million, and that was in the early 2000s that estimate was put together. Since that time, we've had at least one more public meeting since I've been here, and it was just very expensive, and it was at the top of our list for projects to complete. So it became a low priority just because of its expense. Here's a picture of the FEMA map, the floodplain map. You can see that on the east side of Raymond in particular, east of Raymond Road, a good portion of Dewar is in that floodway, the floodplain. And then a portion in the northwest portion of Dewar is as well. So our project today is much smaller. We have downsized it. We have decided we need to do something now. That pavement is 40 years old through Dewar. We've done that. We've resurfaced the roadway to the north of Donald Street, and then, as you know, in 2009, I believe, we did that major reconstruction on Raymond Road, but we skipped the Dewar portion that's about a mile long. So it's now time that we do something. We're now just basically going to mill that area and place new asphalt on top of it. We will not make the surface of the roadway any higher than it is today. I know that's been a concern by the residents that we're going to create more of a dam if we make it higher, so our intent is not to make it any higher than it is now. We will be doing some very minor isolated drainage improvements, a few improving some intakes on the east side of Raymond Road, intakes to the drainage system. And the price tag is now about $200,000 because we're primarily just doing the resurfacing. And we'll be using local construction funds. Do you have any comments? And if there are any comments by the public or.
Kathy, what retains the water in this area?
So
The poor drainage, I mean, there's a creek that goes through there.
yeah, this Elk Run Creek starts to the east of Dewar, I believe maybe a mile to the east. And one of the constrictions is this, the railroad bridge, almost near this red arrow here. there's a railroad bridge over Elk Run Creek that allows the railroad to go through Dewar, that the angle at which it's placed, as well as the length of the structure, is a constriction, does back up water. We have a large culvert just downstream of that we have size to allow water to pass through, but that has overtopped as well. Do you want to add anything, Ryan, or do you want to speak, Gail?
Well, I can. I'm Gail Mueller. I actually grew up in Dewar. I live a mile south now. And I'm also the township trustee for the county out there. I've received a lot of calls from people that couldn't be here at the meeting. They're working. That's concerned with the project. One of the concerns is on the east side of Raymond Road, starting at the edge of the park, going south, down across from the community center. It's a very deep ditch. And they'd like to see it filled in. Put tile in it, cover it up. And, I know the county spent a lot of money north of town and south of town making it a farm to market road. Well, the same tractors that are south of town go through town. Right now, they take up the whole road. There's no shoulders at all until you get down around Kathy's corner of the bar. So that's one concern. The other concern that people have out there is there is an old storm drain sewer system. It's been there, it was put in by hand, dug by hand, and it crosses underneath Raymond Road. I don't know if they've taken this into account, that if it plugs up or if it breaks, they're gonna be digging it back up. It should be cleaned and maybe reroute it into the ditch, which would be, I don't know where her picture went, but they could reroute it into the ditch instead of crossing over onto Miller's property and going up towards the railroad bridge. But that's something that really should be looked at. I mean, that's the only thing that drains water out of the town. The other thing, Kathy, I think you said at one time that you were gonna extend the tile down in front of Miller's shop, which, toward the railroad bridge.
The west side, right here.
Right. What are you gonna do when you get down there to the bridge?
There is a larger storm sewer pipe that does run down this side of the right-of-way, and it ends short of the property that he's talking about. It's a local shop that's there. One of our plans was to extend the pipe down to fill in a deeper ditch that was there and then outlet that in the railroad right-of-way. In our discussions with the railroad, that wasn't a process that they would allow. That wasn't something they were in favor of doing. So at this point, to keep this project moving and get the project to where we can at least maintain the paving that we have, we had to remove that from our plans. We might end up trying to clean the ditch in there to improve some of the flow, but there isn't much we can do without cooperation from the railroad or some agreement between the two of us on what is beneficial. So at this point, that was pulled from our plans and just left so we can at least get the paving completed.
Have we ever looked at anything upstream about how to slow the water flow upstream from Dewar?
I would say no, that we generally have to confine our attention to what's in our right-of-way. At times, we can have discussion with landowners to clean out their, for example, waterway, and we can only encourage them to do so. We have not had any discussions with upstream landowners in this area. And I will say, Gail, in your question about the west side of Raymond Road near the park, we are going to place a few more sections of pipe there so that there can be a few parking spaces for residents who want to park adjacent to
On the east
the
side,
park.
east side.
Yes, I'm sorry, the
East
east
side
side,
road.
yes.
Yeah, well, if you dig the ditch, it's gonna make it deeper. I don't know what it'd cost to fill it all the way in up to the farm field on the south edge of town.
And we didn't look at that. Can you address that better, Ryan?
One tough thing when we're looking at filling in a ditch that gets rather expensive, if, in this case, we still have to accommodate any of the drainage that's in essentially the front yards of these people's properties. So if we do, it's not that we can just simply fill in a ditch and put the pipe there. We still have to have intakes. We still have to make sure that water ponding, that floodwaters that do come around the backside of these properties don't further inhibit them that they already are today. So it's a rather expensive process, and it's not easily done to transform a rural cross-section to urban, just due to a lot of those. Typically, when you look at an urban cross-section in town, the road usually sits lower than all the front faces of the houses. All that water flows to the road. In a rural cross-section, it sits higher than the front of many of the houses. So we still have to accommodate drainage from behind and also the roadway, and it's very difficult and expensive to do in a narrow right of way. So we haven't fully looked into some of the options that could be done, but I know it is a rather extensive and expensive process at this point.
Anything else?
Are there any questions on all three of these items?
What's your timeline on this project here? Doer.
When was the late start, Chad?
Right now, it appears that it'd probably be a June, July build. Looks like it's gonna take about 20 days to do. The roadway will be closed. They will be working with the co-op and local farmers to make sure that access is given to everybody. I know right now the co-op is actually looking at paving their driveway, so it would be in conjunction with that, so the co-op would be fully in the loop. So yeah, right now, the letting would be probably in about 2 weeks. And then the late start date would be that June, in the middle of June sometime. But I know we've talked to local contractors, and it's looking like a June, July build date with about 20 days.
You were gonna have public hearing?
Right, so in 2 weeks, we'll receive the bids, open the bids, and yes, at the public hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks.
Moving on to this, we're going to go into closed session. This is a resolution that pursuant to the provisions of the Iowa Open Meetings Law, the Blackhawk County Board of Supervisors shall proceed into closed session to discuss courthouse security and to avoid disclosure of specific law enforcement matters such as current or proposed investigations or inspection or auditing techniques or schedules, which if disclosed would enable law violates to avoid detection pursuant to
So moved.
21.5G.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This resolution, please answer your name as called.
Maxman,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Leyland,
Yes.
Little,
Yes.
White.
Yes, resolution adopted.